Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel and welcome to a triple episode of the bottom 10 tech tree or Cold War tech tree tanks. Now I'd normally cover one tank at a time in this series, but tomorrow Wargaming are releasing an extension to the Czech and Romanian line. And it happens to be that the three tanks in Era 2 that are already in that line also find themselves on the bottom 10 list. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover each one in turn so that you guys can get a better idea of what you're getting yourselves into should you wish to grind the new tanks that are releasing tomorrow. So in position number 4 on the list is the TR-85. This is the middle of Era 2 and it's unique in one sense, being that it's the only Era 2 medium. It's the only Eastern Era 2 medium in the middle, in tier 2 of Era 2. There are no other mediums in this position in the tech tree. So if you want to play a tier 2 Era 2 medium in the Eastern tech tree, this is your only option from a tech tree point of view. So given it's the only tank in that position, it doesn't really have anything to compare itself to in the same tech tree. But if the trend is to be carried on with the Romanian tanks here, I believe this is Romanian, correct me if I'm wrong, I apologize if I've got that wrong, but if the trend is to carry on from tier 1 to tier 3, it's fair to say that this gun underperforms. The armor isn't terrible, but the guns on these tanks are where they get let down. It's got 376mm of pen on standard, 419 on gold, and I'm firing just gold. And when I have looked at the stats of these tanks, I've noticed that the gold penetration is sometimes on par with standard or just slightly better than regular ammunition from, say, Leopards, for example. The guns are not very good, and this is something that I noticed a lot when I was grinding them. The TR-85 was okay. I had to persist through this. I did a live stream series on these three tanks, the 580, the 85, and the 125. I did a live stream series on these, and I did grind this one out all the way. The same for the 580. I won't spoil the 125 story, we'll get to that later. But yes, the TR-85 it's not bad, but the gun is always lacking. And if you want the gun to perform, you've got to fire gold, and firing gold is like firing standard ammunition for other vehicles in this era. They're not that quick, but the armor is okay, and it's a good thing that we have the minimum arm distance in the game at the minute, because at the moment these if we didn't have it, I would be long dead because of the number of ELCs running around at the moment. But right now I'm using the dead ELC in front. I'm trying to keep track of the dead ELC because I'm thinking that's the only cover I've got right now. Not going very well. I'm completely surrounded by the enemy team, and well, it's basically game over. So the TR-85, is it a good tank? No. Are you going to enjoy playing it? I did. It was tolerable, I would say. The TR-85 was tolerable. And, I wouldn't keep this one personally. I've kept it for this video and just to say that I own them all. But this isn't one that I would ever think to myself, oh, you know what? I'm going to go back and play the TR-85. What a great tank that was. No, that wasn't the case for me. All right, we're now moving on to position 6 of the bottom 10. This is the 6th tank. And this is the TR-185. Now, this thing, I will say straight away, I did a live stream on this, and this is the only tank in the game that has frustrated me so much that I put my controller down and I walked away. It was on live stream. Those of you that were there may remember it, but it's the only time I've gotten so frustrated with the game. I put the controller down on stream and I just walked away. I could not handle grinding this thing. I just couldn't. So I free XP'd it, and that's probably not what you guys want to hear, especially if you haven't played it yet. I found this tank to be incredibly challenging, and the reason it's incredibly challenging is the gun. Again, you are top of Era 2. This is a heavy, so you're a heavy, top Era 2 heavy. But at the moment in game, the competition is the T80B and the T72AV. And the T72AV is an incredibly strong tank. It's a very good tank. So that's the competition. The 125 has 460 mil of pen on standard, 469 mil of pen on gold. 469 on gold. Keep that number in mind. The T72AV has 408 on standard. So, you know, it's got the 125 has got extra 8 mil of pen on standard. Yeah, you know, not that much, whatever. But the AV's got 550 mil of pen on its gold rounds. So, yeah, there you go. That's where the TR125 falls down. The armor's good. It's got heavy armor, heavy mobility, heavy reload. But again, the gun just does not perform. And it's the same story with the T80B. T80B is exactly the same as the T72AV. 408 mil on standard, 550 on gold. When you're in the middle of a game, you're fighting, each shot counts. You need each shot to pen. And this is where I found the 125 so frustrating, because it just would not pen anything. It just wouldn't do what I wanted it to do. And because it's top of Era 2, that means the grind is a little bit longer than the other tanks around it. And, well, for me, it was such a frustrating experience. I remember it. It sticks out in my mind because, like I said, it's the only time I've ever walked away from a game, or a tank rather, and just free XP'd it. I could not handle playing this thing. But at the moment, I found myself in a bit of a pickle here, because on this map, for whatever reason, everybody's obsessed with the hill. But I do like to try and cover flanks because I don't want to be flanked. And I let that T80 drive forward when he was face-hugging me, just so that he could come out of cover from the corner, so that I would have cover to fight this lot once he died. And I'm quite glad I did, because I'm fighting 2 at the minute, and there's a third that's about to show up behind. Oh no, sorry, I'm fighting 3 at the moment, and there's a 4th that's about to show up behind me. So yeah, TR125, it's got decent armor. You don't see it all that much, and I suspect one of the reasons you don't see it all that much is because it's not that great a tank. My back end is being shredded by this BMP2. I've got no repair kit, and I'm dead. So there you go. There is the TR125, the only tank I've ever free XP'd out of frustration. That said, though, I do manage to get on the MVP screen. 1st and 2nd place there. That's the state of Era 2 at the moment. So yeah, good luck with the grind, folks. It's a crazy place out there at the moment in Era 2. Alright, now this is actually a lot further down the list. We've had 4, 6, and this is actually the 10th tank on the list. The TR 580 is number 10 on the list. This is actually Tier 1 of Era 2. So the 125 is Tier 3, top of Era 2. This is now the beginning of Era 2. And I suspect the reason this is in 10th place is because this is what follows immediately after Era 1. So a lot more people will just pick this up simply because they've finished Era 1, which has got the TVPs in it. The 5051 is an amazingly good tank. So carrying on with the line after that amazing experience makes sense. You know, I'm going to pick up the TR 580 because the 5051 was such an amazing experience. I get it. This one is probably number 10 in the list for that reason. And this is probably the tank that I can forgive the most, because it is tier 1 of era 2. I mean, it's got the excuse of, well, it is bottom tier. Like, yeah, alright, okay. It does have competition though. It's got the T62 and it's got the Type 79 as competition. But again, we find a similar story. It's the gun. TR 580 has 376mm of pen on standard rounds, 419 on gold. Type 7, well, said 59 there. Type 79 has 432 on standard, 450 on gold. T62, 427 on standard, 440 on gold. So immediately, straight away, the 580's gun is just woefully down on penetration compared to the competition around it. And a point that I've not yet said in this video, but may lend itself to the bottom 10 list, is that this line stopped at the 125. So it may be that may be the reason why these 3 tanks find themselves in the bottom 10 tanks of the Cold War tech trees. They don't have era 3. There's nothing to get to after the 125. So people just think to themselves, well, I'm just not going to play that line. Or historically, that's what people have thought. Why would I play that line if it's not going to get me to era 3? That is a suspicion I have about this line. But I also think that the guns on these tanks are another reason why this line is the way it is. I mean, the side of a T10B there didn't pen with a gold round. Make of that what you will. So, these are the tanks that people are going to have to grind through in order to get to, or, you know, one of the lines that people have an option to branch off of this line to get to era 3. But if you are so inclined, these are the tanks that you'll have to get through in order to get to the new era 3, which I forget right now, T72M something with the dual autocannons. I will be trying to go for that tank because it looks interesting. But yes, the TR 580 and the TR series on the whole, they are not brilliant. I will be honest. I hope that I hope some people will have had some free XP saved, because the grind through these 3 tanks, I would say, is the more painful, because yes, you've got a bit more armor. The Leopard series of tanks can be difficult to play, but the guns are very, very good, and if you're careful, you can save your hit points by playing from cover to cover, staying hidden, taking shots only when necessary. But these tanks, yes, they have some armor to protect themselves, but even in a situation where you've got a shot, T10B there for example, you'll take the shot and you just won't penetrate. Not to mention the poor gun depression that these tanks have as well. So you've got you can find yourself in situations where you just can't do anything, and that was the reason why I got so frustrated with these, with the 125 especially. I made it through the 580, I made it through the 85, but the 125, I could not handle that one. So there you go, guys. We've had the TR85 number 4 on the list, the TR125 number 6, and the TR580 at number 10. Those 3 tanks all find themselves in the bottom 10 played tech tree tanks, and they're the ones that lead to the new tanks coming out tomorrow. So I want to say good luck, everybody. Try to enjoy these tanks if you can. They might suit your playstyle. Maybe. I might be completely wrong about these. But there you go. That was my experience with these tanks. And I'm glad I've already got them out the way, because it means I can jump straight into Era 3 tomorrow, which I'm actually quite looking forward to. So, with that said, I'm going to close this video out. If you've enjoyed it, please leave it a like, if not a dislike. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you in the next one.